It was my birthday when Sarah's first crush, Jake, unexpectedly showed up. That evening, after the party, she didn't come home. She crashed at Jake's place. I didn't make a scene. But when Jake returned the next day, acting all casual, I couldn't help it. I let out a dry, mocking laugh and turned away, ignoring the rest of the guests. Later that night, Sarah knocked on my door. She looked guilty. She froze the moment she saw the scar on my neck. "Who gave you the nerve to let someone else get close to you?" I sneered. "Sarah, haven't you had enough of playing the loyal girlfriend? I've moved on. You're just not cutting it anymore." It had all started that night, my birthday. Jake, the guy who'd been gone for years, just showed up out of nowhere. Sarah had made a reservation at a nearby pub to celebrate. Things were going well, drinks, laughs, until Jake walked in wearing a sharp Armani suit. He looked like someone straight out of a fashion magazine. Tall, confident, glowing under the pub lights. The whole place fell silent. Someone recognized him, and the attention shifted straight to me. I set my glass down calmly, said nothing. Everyone already knew about Jake and Sarah, college sweethearts who broke up when he moved abroad. After that, Sarah had distanced herself from everyone, until she met me. She'd pursued me hard, over-the-top romance, calling me the one. But we'd been together 3 years, and she never once mentioned marriage. She was sitting on the couch now, glancing at Jake before quickly looking away. Only I could see it, the way her breath caught. Mike, sensing the tension awkwardly, tried to break the silence. "Jake, why don't you come in?" he offered. Jake hesitated, eyes on Sarah. "Sarah, But she cut him off, suddenly raising her voice, loud and sharp. Even I jumped. Mike scratched the back of his head, clearly uncomfortable. "Jake just got back and asked me for your address as soon as he landed. I didn't think much of it, so I gave it to him." Sarah turned to me quickly, apologetic. "Sorry, I didn't know he'd show up," she mumbled. Jake's face went pale. When Mike called me his brother-in-law, Jake looked like he'd been slapped. He forced a tight smile, gave Sarah one last glance, then left. The pub's energy slowly returned. Sarah, acting like nothing had happened, grabbed my hand. "Mike doesn't think before he acts. Don't mind him," she said softly, like she was smoothing things over. I didn't answer. I could see her trying too hard, then her phone rang. Unknown number. Her brows furrowed as she picked it up. I could hear Jake's voice, quiet, desperate, through the speaker. "Sarah, I just stepped out of the pub. I'm in some trouble. Can you come?" Sarah gripped her phone tighter. "Why don't you call the cops?" she asked coldly, then hung up quickly. She took a deep breath and downed another drink. The tension hung heavy in the air. A few minutes later, she stood up, grabbed her bag. "I have some work at the office." "I'll leave my car here. Mike can drive you home," she said before heading toward the door. That sour feeling rose in my stomach. "Are you coming back tonight?" I asked. She didn't even hesitate. "I will. Wait for me," she replied, sounding guilty, but firm. Of course. Sarah didn't come back that night. I knew exactly why. The way Jake looked at her. Old flames don't die easily. I couldn't sleep. The next morning, as I was getting dressed, I found Sarah out on the balcony. She was on the phone, still wearing the same trench coat from the night before, now a little wrinkled. "Linda, don't tell anyone about me and Jake," she whispered. "I'll handle it. Alex hasn't touched me in years. He's boring. Pointless. You ever seen a couple date for 3 years without even getting close?" My chest tightened. "Now that Jake's back, Mike's not enough anymore," she continued. I froze, even though I'd suspected it. Hearing it out loud hit different. She hung up and turned, startled to find me standing behind her. Her face flushed. "How long have you been standing there?" she asked. I gave a dry laugh. "Now that Jake's back, I'm not enough, huh?" Sarah stepped toward me, trying to smooth things over again. "Alex, don't make this harder. Let's just talk it out." I stared her down. "Go ahead. Talk." She took a breath. "I've always been in love with Jake," she admitted, voice trembling. "Maybe I just never got over him. Ever since he came back, I've felt something I haven't felt in years. I need to keep the promise I made to him. As for us, it's best we part on good terms." I didn't say anything. There was nothing left to say. The last 3 years suddenly felt like a bad joke. I didn't ask her what I'd meant to her. Didn't want to hear more. I just turned away. "Okay, let's break up." She'd made her choice. I wasn't going to beg. I packed my things in. Silence. As I dragged my suitcase downstairs, Sarah was standing in the living room. Her face was cold. "Alex, do you really have to leave right now?" she asked, clearly annoyed. "You could stay until you find a new place. I'm not that incapable of accommodating you." I laughed bitterly. "Sorry, I can't stand it." I walked out the door and called a cab. I wasn't staying in a place full of her memories. As I left, I called Emma, my childhood friend. She was furious, heartbroken for me. But I told her not to do anything rash. "I don't need Sarah to pay me back for those 3 years," I said, calm now. "I'm moving on. I've got plans. I want to open a small book cafe. No rush." Emma smiled, patted my shoulder. "Good. You've always been focused. You'll thrive without her. Stay with me for now. I know some real estate agents who can help." I nodded, grateful. "Thanks, but I'm going to travel abroad first. Clear my head." She understood. "I'd come with you if I could, but work's crazy. Good luck. There are plenty of beautiful girls out there." I laughed. "Thanks for the wish." I booked a vacation on a quiet island. Just sun, sea, and peace. The last few days had been a blur, but this place felt like a reset. The calm breeze and waves gave me space to breathe. Sarah was out of my system. I was finally free to look ahead. Back in town, Sarah sat at a bar with Mike. "Who cares about him?" She laughed bitterly. "Let him go. Where else is he gonna go anyway? A man, once he's tired of wandering, he always comes back." Mike looked at her with quiet helplessness but said nothing. The bar buzzed around them. Meanwhile, Emma was across town, deep in a meeting with a client. The man sitting opposite her tapped his finger on the table and gave her a teasing look. "Emma, I've never seen you glance at a guy this often," he said, amused. Emma blinked, flustered. "Did I?" she mumbled. The man chuckled. "You've looked over at him at least 10 times. You've got good taste." He pointed to the bar. Then he smiled knowingly, grabbed his bag, and waved as he left. Emma stared into her glass, trying to shake it off. I sat there, my phone buzzing. Mike had messaged me. "How are things abroad?" I replied quickly. "All good. Don't worry." As I looked up, the bartender gave me a cheeky grin. "Fifth admirer of the night," he said, nodding toward someone. I turned and my heart paused. Slim. Familiar. It was Emma. "Emma?" "What a coincidence," I said, standing to greet her, but I lost my balance and fell right into her. Thankfully, she caught me. "Are you alone?" "Why'd you drink so much?" she asked, concerned. I just grinned, saying nothing. Emma sighed. "I'll take you back. What hotel are you at?" I mumbled the name and she got me there. She even booked a room next to mine, just in case. In the elevator, the alcohol was wearing off. Emma smelled faintly of roses. I found myself leaning closer. She opened the door to my room and helped me onto the couch. "I've got it from here," she said gently. I nodded. But as she turned to leave, I reached out, grabbing her jacket. "Emma, have you ever had a boyfriend?" I blurted out. She paused. "No," she said simply. "Why not?" I asked. Memories rushed back, of her confessing to me in college. "You said you'd wait for me. Were you serious?" I asked quietly. Her lashes trembled. "I've never stopped," she whispered, almost too softly. Then she turned away, realizing what she'd said. Her face flushed red. I tugged her back gently, pinning her softly against the wall. Emma looked a little lost. uncertain how to handle the moment. In a soft whisper, she said, "Alex." The tension between us was thick. I could see the desire in her eyes, and I couldn't help but chuckle softly. But deep in my chest, something tugged, a strange ache. Someone once told me I was dull, boring, a terrible partner for a woman. Was that true? I looked at Emma. She stood there, gaze, steady, soft, yet intent. "You're irresistible to me," she said, her hand brushing the back of my head. I raised an eyebrow, half teasing, not quite believing her. "Really?" She didn't answer at first, but then she leaned in and kissed me. Soft. Sweet. It was unlike anything I'd ever felt with Sarah. Emma wasn't someone I could shake. She was someone I was being pulled toward without even realizing it. I hesitated, but boldness won. I kissed her back, and the kiss deepened. Just as things felt like they might go further, Emma pulled away gently. "Alex," she whispered, "you're not thinking straight. How about we just sleep tonight, okay?" I pouted, teasing. "Liar. You said I was irresistible and now you're holding back?" She sighed, smiling a little at my childish tone, then began tucking me into the blankets. Despite my drunken state, she stayed kind, making sure I was warm and comfortable. By the time morning came, my throat felt sore and awkwardness lingered from the night before. "About last night?" I started, feeling guilty. Emma looked straight at me, eyes serious and sharp. "Do you always cause such a scene when you're drunk?" she asked. "If you hadn't run into me last night, who knows what could have happened. You should probably stay away from bars." Her words stung, enough to send a shiver through me. "Emma, last night when I was out of it, were you not up for it?" I blurted without thinking. The air went still. Emma's cheeks turned pink, but there was something else in her eyes. Longing. She leaned in, gently pushing me back onto the couch. "Alex," she whispered, her voice trembling. "There's no going back now." Before I could say a word, she kissed me again. This time, I didn't hesitate. We spent the morning tangled, together. It felt like something we'd both been holding back for far too long. Later, just as I was getting ready to freshen up, Emma pulled me into the living room. "Let's talk," she said softly, sitting across from me. I nodded, ready to hear what she had to say. "Back in college," she began, "I confessed to you. You said you had a girlfriend, but now you've broken up with Sarah, haven't you?" She didn't wait for my answer. "I'm sure of it," I nodded. "Sarah and I broke up, but I'm still figuring things out." Emma cut in, voice steady, unwavering. "You want time to sort things out, I get it. But are you really going to deny what you feel for me?" I looked at her. The raw emotion in her eyes was impossible to ignore. It had been building between us since we reconnected. After a pause, Emma walked over and knelt down in front of me. "I'm stubborn," she said softly. "Once I set my sights on someone, it's hard to like anyone else." She smiled faintly, eyes searching mine. "I've always liked you, Alex. Even after graduation, even when I started my own company, I hoped we'd end up in the same city. I wanted to be near you." She took a breath. "I thought I'd be single forever. But when I saw you again last night, I couldn't help but want to be close to you." She looked up at me, hope flickering in her eyes. "I'm not like Sarah. I won't throw you away. To me, you've always been the treasure I longed for. I just couldn't have you." Her words hit me like a wave. I couldn't speak, not at first. But when I did, I pulled her close and kissed her forehead. "I've always liked you too, Emma," I admitted. "I just never thought you were serious." Her eyes softened. "I was serious. I've always been." I closed the door behind me, watching the way her expression shifted, caught between saying something and just walking away. There was confusion in her eyes, regret, a look I used to know well. Sarah, she wasn't the girl I remembered anymore. And honestly, it was hard to remember the good times we'd shared. Sarah, remember how things ended between us? I asked softly, trying to keep my voice even. Her face twisted like the words physically hurt her. She stepped closer, hands trembling as she reached for me. But I stepped back. There's no more space for this in my life, I said. Not anymore. Can we start over? Sarah asked, her voice desperate, almost pleading. I regret everything. I can't live without you. I'll break up with Jake. We can try again. Her words felt distant, like a ghost from the past. I looked at her, trying to find even a shadow of the girl I once loved. But the truth was, I'd moved on. I don't think so, Sarah, I said quietly, but firmly. We've been through this before. You don't get to come back whenever you feel like it. She looked at me as if I'd slapped her. Shock, disbelief, pain. You can't mean that, she cried. I love you. I was with you for 3 years. Who could love you more than I did? Her voice rose like she was trying to convince herself. More than me. Before I could reply, Emma appeared behind me. She walked forward slowly, wrapping her arm around my waist, calm, steady, unshaken. Sarah, Emma said gently, her tone even but firm. It's not about how long you were with him. It's about how much you cared while you were. She looked Sarah right in the eye. You didn't cherish him the way he deserved. I love him. And I'm not going anywhere. Emma's words landed hard. Sarah took a step back, stunned. We're engaged now, Emma continued, her voice clear and solid. We're getting married. You need to stop trying to insert yourself into our lives. Sarah looked like she'd been hit. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Her face changed. Anger, then defeat, then a quiet acceptance. She knew. It was over. She had lost. Silence hung in the room. Emma stayed right where she was, her arms still around me. Sarah stood frozen, her chest rising and falling with uneven breaths. Finally, she spoke. Her voice was barely a whisper. I'm sorry, she said. Emma looked at her for a moment, then shook her head gently. You should apologize to him, not me. And just like that, the bitterness I'd carried for so long began to fade. It was replaced by something lighter. Maybe relief, maybe just peace. I was no longer the guy waiting for someone to choose me. Time passed, and the city seemed to shift with it. The first snow of the year fell quietly, covering everything in soft white. Emma had grown more loving than ever, extra sweet, a little more attentive. I knew it was because of Sarah's reappearance. I could see it bothered her. She was jealous, maybe even afraid of losing me. But she didn't need to be. She had me. All of me. She spoiled me in her own way. Possessive almost, always reminding me that I was hers. And honestly, I didn't mind it one bit. Didn't mind it. She had my heart completely. I felt like the luckiest man alive. How about we go for a walk in the snow later? Emma asked, pulling me out of my thoughts. I smiled, nodding. I'd love that. That night, I left the mall after dinner with Mike. He'd introduced me to a girl he liked from his office. What started as dinner turned into a casual date preview. We laughed and chatted for nearly 2 hours before parting ways. As I was heading back, Emma texted, Are you done? I just finished work, coming to pick you up. I chuckled and replied, No need, I'm almost there. Just wait for me at home. I slid my phone into my pocket and started walking toward the book cafe. It was only a 10-minute walk. The streets were quieter now, the early winter air crisp and clean. I barely noticed the crowd thinning, but as I turned the corner, a white car came flying toward me, too fast to react. Then, Watch out! Before I knew it, I was pulled back into a familiar embrace. Emma. She looked at me, eyes wide with worry, her brows furrowed. Alex, are you hurt anywhere? She asked, running her hands along my arms, checking me over. I just stood there, stunned. The car sped away into the night. After a long pause, I finally shook my head. I'm fine, don't worry. Emma let out a breath of relief and wrapped her arms around me. Good thing I wasn't at ease. I came out to find you. If I hadn't been here, she paused, her voice cracking a little. I can't imagine what could have happened. I was shaken too. But I wrapped my arms around her and gave her the reassurance she needed. She was my person, and nothing, not even the past, was going to change that. It was just an accident. No big deal, I said, trying to shake it off. But Emma turned to look in the direction the car had disappeared, her face darkening. Really? Just an accident? That night, despite my objections, Emma insisted on taking me home. Back at the bookstore cafe, she checked me over again, carefully. I was so embarrassed I didn't even know where to look. Finally, she let out a relieved sigh. Why so shy? I've seen every part of you before, Alex. I laughed awkwardly, but her expression softened as she stepped closer. Promise me, you'll be careful when you go out from now on, especially at night. I don't care how busy I am, I'll come get you. Just don't go running around alone, got it? Seeing how worried she was, I nodded. I thought that would be the end of it, but a few days later, Emma came to me with troubling news. The investigation I set up made some progress, she said. We found the surveillance footage from the night you almost got hit. The driver of the white car was Jake. I couldn't believe it. I had no grudge against Jake. Why would he try to hurt me? Emma paused before continuing. I heard Sarah broke up with him a while ago. He's been in a bad state since. After leaving his job, he started secretly following you. A chill ran down my spine. Being stalked by Jake? I had no idea. I didn't even know Sarah had broken up with him. Why would he hate me? I asked, more confused than anything. Emma pressed her lips together and then pulled me into her lap. What do you think? He must know Sarah recently tried to get back together. With you? I heard their breakup was messy. Jake was hysterically begging her not to leave, but it didn't work. So, I guess he blamed it all on you. I sighed, feeling conflicted. In a way, Jake was just a pitiful guy. You'd think that when old flames rekindled, it would be something beautiful. But Sarah, she was still emotionally immature. She betrayed Jake's genuine feelings. That must have tormented him, filled him with resentment. It wasn't right, but I could understand why he might have taken such an extreme path. I hugged Emma tightly. Don't worry. I've already reported it. Jake will get the punishment he deserves. Emma nodded quietly. At the start of the year, Emma took me to Poland to meet her parents. We officially met, and as spring approached, our wedding was already in motion. On the day of the wedding, Sarah sent a big red envelope through Mike. Emma knew about it, but didn't say a word. I looked at Mike and gently said, Sarah is welcome to the wedding if she wants. After a pause, Mike's voice caught in his throat. Sarah can't make it. She was diagnosed with stomach cancer before the new year, and it's been rough. She wanted me to pass on her congratulations today. She asked me to tell you, not to hold a grudge. She's gotten her comeuppance. I was stunned. Emma and I exchanged a glance before finally sighing. Mike tried to smile, though his voice trembled. Alex, sorry for bringing such bad news. To your wedding. I shook my head, signaling it was okay. He looked at me, his thoughts clearly heavy. I'll take off now. Congratulations on the wedding, and may you have kids soon. He nodded at Emma. She said nothing but gently patted his shoulder in quiet support. In the end, I didn't accept the red envelope from Sarah. Instead, I stuffed it back into Mike's pocket as he turned to leave. She doesn't know me anymore. We've long settled it. I have my life to live. We all do. We have to look forward now, I said softly. I don't hate her. I've found my peace. Go tell Sarah to focus on recovery. Winter will pass. Mike wiped his tears and left while Emma held my hand comfortingly. Yeah, winter does end, doesn't it? She whispered. We'll get through this cold. Spring will arrive. Emma intertwined her fingers with mine. That day, we accepted the blessings of friends and family. not just to mark the end of hard times, but to celebrate the beginning of something new, to honor Emma's persistent, unwavering heart that had finally found happiness. At the wedding, Emma's mom laughed and cried beside me. I felt surrounded by genuine, kind people. Because of Emma, I'd become better. Emma stood beside me, her joy shining in her eyes. Alex, thank you for marrying me. I promise you everything I can, loving you with all my life. I turned to her, looking into her eyes, so full of warmth and affection. Finally, I smiled and kissed her. Emma, I've given myself to you. Let's take care of each other for the rest of our lives. There's nothing to brag about. What she gave me, she gave to no one else. Time is gentle, and we've got a long, long journey ahead.